Welcome to the KO Boxing Show. Haven't we got a big show tonight? None other than the living legend, Roberto Garcia, all the way from California. Welcome to the KO Boxing Show.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show, my friend. Let's go over your magnificent career as a professional fighter. Your family obviously involved with boxing and as a legendary trainer. 34 pro wins, 25 knockouts, former IBF Super Featherweight World Champion. And that first happened for you in March 1998 when you fought Harold Warren. What can you remember about that night?
Well, look, it was a great night. You know, winning a world title is every professional fighter's dream. You know, a lot of fighters since the amateurs, you know, that's their dream to one day become world champion. And I became world champion in '98. It was great. You know, we had Arturo Gatti was the world champion at that time, but he vacated the title to move up to 135. So when the title became vacant, I was number one. I was ranked number one in the IBF, and Harold Warren was ranked number two. So we fought for the vacant title, and you know, it was great. You know, my family, everybody was there to support, and it was a great experience, great memories.
I think your best performance was John Molina when you won in January 1999 in your world title defense. What can you remember about that night?
Well, I think that was a good performance, but it was also one of my tough fights because John Molina was at that time already like a former two-time champion. He had already fought Oscar De La Hoya and had given Oscar De La Hoya a great fight. I think it was one of my hard fights because his experience. I was young. I only had one title defense, and it wasn't easy. It was a hard fight for me to win. You know, I performed well and I was in great shape. That's why I was able to pull off the victory. But I remember John Molina was very difficult and very experienced. One of those fighters that has the experience and that always helped him be able to make it to those big fights.
In October 1999, you fought the great late Diego Corrales. It must have been an awesome experience to defend your world title, even though you lost it in the ring. What was it like to fight a legend like Corrales?
Look, at that moment, obviously my first loss and losing my title was really sad for me and the family, the whole team. It was something that we did not expect. We honestly never thought I would lose to Diego Corrales. But nowadays, going back all these years and what Diego Corrales became a legend, you know, the fights that he had with Castillo and all that. To me right now, I'm actually honored to say that I lost my title to the great Diego Corrales because he did become a legend, and to me, I feel honored. I feel proud to say that I shared the ring with him, and I was actually doing a really good fight with him until he caught me in the 7th round and stopped me.
What was he like as a person? Obviously, you saw him at the weigh-in, you fought him after the fight. He seemed like a really nice guy. Really
nice person, you know. Even after he had beat me, he was always a very, very great person, gentleman. Him, his wife, they were great people. You know, his team, everybody. You know, in boxing, I'm the type of I was the type of fighter that never really disliked anybody. I know it's a sport, and I know we're in there. You know, obviously in a business, and yes, we're trying to win, and yes, he tried to beat me and knock me out, but outside of the ring, we all have to be friends because we're all risking our lives inside the ring, and you know, we're doing whatever it takes to win. But you know, win or lose, we have to be respectful to everybody.
Of course. You also fought Ben Taki and Joel Casamayor, which were great fighters. So, as a professional fighter, you accomplish the ultimate, which is great for your family and obviously great for teaching boxers now. And you've taught so many fighters, and you're not a salesman. I always say there's two types of trainers. There's a speaker that's a salesman, and there's a guy that's a teacher. You're a teacher. You've been there. You know how tough it is. you just know how to connect to your fighters. You bring them in. They're not a boxer. They're part of your family once you start to train them. And the guys that you've trained, Brendan Rios, Algieri, Nonito Donaire, Mikey Garcia, obviously your brother Antonio Margarita, Kelly Pavlik, Fernando Vargas. The list can go on. But the thing I noticed about you, I remember, you probably can't remember, but you were in Manila with Brian Valoria and he was fighting Carlos Tamara. And Bruce McTavish, my friend, was the referee, and we came down for the fight. And I met you at the press conference at the Manila Hotel, and you were such a gentleman. And obviously, you could probably remember the fight. I think Valoria gassed out a bit at the end. He didn't have enough potassium, and Bruce had to stop the fight. But just the way you're compassionate to your fighters will always stick to my mind. Because they're not boxers to you; they're your family, aren't they?
That's exactly right. You know, every time one fighter joins my team, they become family. I have 30 plus fighters in my gym, and they're all in training camp. Most of them live together in training camp, so they become not only friends but brothers, and they all support each other. Me, my son, my father, we're still involved. You know, everybody involved. They have so much respect for myself, but much more for my father, who comes in as the grown man, the respected person. And I think that helps out a lot too, you know, to help every fighter just become family. You know, from 4-round fighters to world champions, they're all treated the same, and they're all part of our family. So I think that's very important. I like showing that to my team. I like showing that to the boxing world, because that's what boxing is about, you know, a big family. And not only the ones in my team, but any other team, opponents, fights that sometimes go different directions. Sometimes people are mad of a bad decision. People are bad because of a robbery. People, you know, but it's a sport. And at the end, we're all one family, and we can't be arguing or fighting or taking things so personal, because this is a very beautiful sport that we all have to learn to get along and respect each other.
For sure. Your brother Mikey Garcia, 4-division world champion, fought for the 5th division up against Errol Spence. He was unsuccessful, but tried his heart out. What's next for him? Because a lot of people are saying the fight with Pacquiao will happen pre-COVID, then COVID happened and everything's been put on ice. Do you still have any hopes of the Pacquiao fight happening with your brother Mikey Garcia?
Well, we were almost sure it was going to happen. They had already set up even a day in this last July, but obviously the pandemic came along, so everything was put on hold. Since then, we haven't heard anything. But if as of right now, Pacquiao doesn't have anything lined up either, neither does Mikey. So I do believe that it's a big possibility that they still fight each other sometime next year. If I already knew that Pacquiao was already scheduled to fight somebody else early next year, then obviously with Mikey, we would have to find another fight for him, something else. But as of right now, we want to wait. We want to see if we could secure that fight, because that's the fight that Mikey wants. So we have to support him and wait and do whatever it takes to make that fight happen.
Gee, and the longer the break, the more it's going to not suit the older man, because Manny's going to be 42 in December. So
correct.
Mike, and Manny's not a big guy, and Mikey and probably, the senator, Manny Pacquiao, are similar heights and builds. So it's going to be a terrific fight once they do meet. It's going to be an all-action fight. I can't wait for that one.
I think it will be a great fight, but I like I tell Mikey and I tell my dad and everybody in my team is, look at what Pacquiao just did a little over a year ago with Keith Thurman. He was already 40 years old. So if we fight him at 42, I think he's still going to be a great fighter. He's trains very, very hard. I know he's always in great shape. So what he's doing at 40, I think he's still going to be the same guy at 42. We have to be very well prepared and have a great game plan, because it is not going to be easy.
Even at 50 years of age, my friend, I think the Senator Manny Pacquiao
exactly.
would be a hard fight. The guy's a living legend and a freak.
I agree.
And we, you know, he's the eighth wonder of the world. We just don't know how special we are to have him in our lives.
Correct.
Look, there's another fighter who got Joshua Franco, and I was impressed with him when he took the title off Maloney, because he went in as a rank underdog and he came in tough and he dropped Maloney late in the fight and he finished like a train for a sensational win against the odds. It must have been a great moment for you training that one.
Look, that was one of my favorite feelings, because when I brought this kid from the amateurs, there wasn't much interest in him, and I remember approaching Top Rank to see if they wanted to sign him, plus 3 more fighters, because I had a package of 4 fighters that came off the amateurs that I wanted to sign to a big promoter, and Top Rank was my first one that I approached, but they told me they were not interested. They were only interested in one of the 4. So I said, no, it has to be all 4. So I brought them to Golden Boy Promotions, and Golden Boy Promotions also questioned signing Joshua Franco because of the weight division. 112, 115 pounds doesn't attract a lot of attention. People do not support that weight division that much. So there wasn't very much interest, but Golden Boy was willing to sign him with the package. And look, now from the 4 fighters that I had in the package, he's the first one to become world champion. He looked really good. Being the underdog, there was a lot of people that from my gym, family, whatever, that putting out pretty good money, because it was like 7-1. We were like 7-1 underdogs, and we knew how good he is. The world did not know. Top Rank offered me that fight because they were almost sure that Maloney, coming from Australia, a big star, big name, they were pretty sure that Maloney would beat Franco. But only myself, my team, we knew what Franco was about in the gym, because we see him in the gym every day. So we were very confident, and we went in there, and the first 3 rounds were probably a little difficult, because Maloney does throw a lot of punches, but Franco started connecting, dropped him in the 11th, and won a unanimous decision. So it was one of the great feelings that I've had as a boxing coach.
Recently in the rematch, what happened? What do you think happened, Robert? You describe what happened in your eyes.
Well, look, we were with Franco. He was in great shape. I think he was probably in better shape than he was the first time he fought Maloney. But, unfortunately, things like this happen in boxing. When we were, when the first round was going on, I'm in the floor, I'm in the corner. Maloney's team is in the opposite corner. Bob Arum is sitting down away from the ring in the opposite corner. The commissioner's table is on the other side. So nobody is close enough to really see, what really happened. The only person there was the referee. The referee is 2 or 3 feet away from them at all time. So he's there. He sees everything. He hears everything too, because he's 2 feet away. So he's hearing everything that's going on. He's hearing how the fighters are breathing. He hears everything. He's the only man that has an exact view of everything that goes on. So when I came home, I went back to see the fight, and he did call for a few headbutts. He told the fighters a couple times, watch your heads. There was also one occasion where he told the commissioner's table, swelling on the eye caused by a headbutt. Nobody questioned that, because us in the floor, we didn't see it. We didn't see that happening either, because I'm telling you, we're in the floor. We have to look up to the rings. The ropes are there, the angles also. So there's so many different angles. So the only person that called that was the ref. So he called it an accidental headbutt. So when he came to the corner, the cutman Basso tried to work as hard as he could on the swelling, but it just got worse. The eye was shot. He went into the second round, but with only one eye, I could see in that round that his performance wasn't going to get any better because of the swelling. You know, he was fighting with only one eye. So coming into the bell rings, coming into the corner, the doctor comes in when the bell's going to ring, and they inspected the eye, and he said that he couldn't continue. So if the ref had called it an accidental headbutt, well, before the fourth round, it has to go to a no contest. They went through the replays, you know, because Nevada has instant replay. So they went through the replay. It took almost half an hour to make the right decision. At the end, you know, they decided and supported the referee's decision to say that it was an accidental headbutt. So it became pretty much a no contest or a draw, whatever it was.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's boxing, I guess. What happens now with Joshua Franco? Have you got any fights in line? How's his eye? Is it healed up? Is he okay, first of all?
Well, no. Well, his eye is fractured. There's a fracture in his eye. So he will be out from any training or anything for at least the rest of the year. I'm thinking early January we'll start training again, and we want to do the third fight. You know, we're not happy. I know Maloney and his team, they're not happy. Bob Arum is definitely not happy because Bob Arum did what any promoter would do. He defended his fighter. He was defending a case, and so was Maloney's manager, Maloney himself. They were all defending a good case because they did have a good case, but they're not happy. We're not happy either. So we're definitely we won the third fight. There's no question that we are going to do the third fight, but we have to give Josh, you know, the rest of this year, which is a year and a half. I mean, 1 month and a half to heal and recover. And starting January, we'll start training. Hopefully, February or March, we could do it again.
So that's fantastic that his eye's going to heal up. He's obviously got a slight fracture over Christmas. It'll heal up, and in time, he gets back to train. Where would you like the third fight to take place? There's talk it might be in Australia. Would you guys come to Australia? Would you rather it in Las Vegas or in California, or where would you like it?
I read a little bit about something that Bob Arum said that he might want to take Teofimo Lopez against one of the
Cambosos.
And Franco Berloni on the co-main event. I think it would be a huge event in Australia. I would love to go to Australia. I've never been to Australia. I have very good friends in Australia, so I would love to go to Australia. I don't mind, you know. Obviously, our management team and attorneys, they have to make a good negotiation to be able to take us to Australia. But I would love to, because I wouldn't want the fight to happen in Las Vegas anymore, because I don't want no excuses. You know, I don't want anything go wrong again. If we could do it somewhere else, if it's California, maybe I won't even ask for Texas, because that's where Franco is from. But we'll go to Australia. I don't mind going to Australia. I know my fighter, and even though he was losing the first 2 rounds, he was losing the first 2 rounds in the first fight also. But after 3 or 4 rounds, he started connecting, started picking it up, and put a beating on Maloney the first fight. I think the same thing was going to happen in the second fight, maybe even worse, because I know my fighter. I know Joshua Franco, and I know that after three rounds, he was going to start hurting Maloney, and I have a good feeling that he was going to stop Maloney. But, you know, we didn't get to see that. It did not happen. So now we are willing to give him a rematch right away as soon as we heal, and I don't mind going to Australia. Why not?
Well, if you go to Australia, I'll have to take you out for a steak in your team. We're going to have to meet up.
Yes, I've never been to Australia, and I've heard nothing but good things about Australia. And like I said, I have a couple of really good friends that I would like to maybe see and visit. So definitely, it would be a great experience and a great fight for the Australian people.
And you're confident, obviously, in your charger, Joshua Franco, in the third fight to do what he has to do to bring the title back?
100%.
That is boxing, my friend. Thank you for your time, Roberto. You're one of the legends of the sport, and wherever you go, you're much loved. You've got such a huge fan base, and you're so kind with everything you do. I wish everyone was like you in boxing. You're a true boxing person.
Boxing, like I told you earlier, it's a sport where we all have to be family and we all have to support each other. And yes, things like this happen, you know, Molina versus Franco. And I know a lot of people, you know, were blaming us or thinking it was my fault or my decision. No, the commissioner made that decision. Bob Arum was really mad also. He defended his fighter. But after that, we already talked, and Bob Arum is okay with doing the rematch. No problem at all. It's all a fun sport. I think it's the best sport in the world. I think everybody in Australia, you know, might be a little upset, but, you know, I didn't make the call. It was the ref and the commission. Plus, I don't, you know, the way I'm telling everybody is, I don't have more power than Bob Arum. You know, I'm there by myself with my team because my fighter is promoted by Golden Boy Promotions, but nobody from Golden Boy Promotions was there to have our back. Nobody showed up. We were there by ourselves against Top Rank, against the biggest promoter in the world. I don't think I have more power than Bob Arum to be able to convince the commission to give me the fight. I think the commission made the decision they thought was best. Now, you know, I that's why I want to please everybody by giving the rematch right away. Because I think the third fight needs to happen, and I know Maloney wants it too. And before and after the fights, we will be friends.
No, thank you, Roberto. Let's hope Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao happens as well, because that'll be another great fight and then another great experience for you. Thank you for your time, my friend, and keep up the fantastic work you do for boxing.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.